We just got back last night from a congressional delegation trip to Ukraine. It was bipartisan, led by Senator Jeanne Shaheen and myself. Senator Wicker, Senator Kramer were part of that congressional delegation. And this morning we were able to attend a secure briefing by the President and his team. Let me echo some of the concerns that have been raised by my colleagues. We need to stand strong and unified in letting Vladimir Putin and Russia know that should there be another physical invasion of Ukraine, that the consequences will be devastating for Russia, both in terms of sanctions. We talked about Nord Stream 2 earlier. Nord Stream 2 was a bad idea. It's an even worse idea now that Russia has mobilized this massive, unwarranted force along the border of Ukraine. But the other sanctions that must be discussed publicly and made clear would go much further than just sanctioning Nord Stream 2, which of course has to happen. We also need to let Russia know that we are going to provide additional military, defensive, lethal weapons to Ukraine. Already we are doing that, and I was pleased to see as we left Ukraine yesterday that the C-17 landed. It was from the UK, one of our strong allies, and it had within it anti-tank weapons that Ukraine badly needs to be able to respond should Russia and Vladimir Putin make a terrible mistake. But we need to continue that, and should there be an additional invasion, we need to let the world know that there will be substantially more of those kinds of military weapons and assistance provided to Ukraine, as well as additional buildup of NATO forces in other Eastern European countries, and a commitment, an ironclad commitment, that the free world, not just the United States, not just NATO, but the free world will stand strong. That is the kind of deterrence that's needed right now to avoid what would be a terrible consequence for Ukraine, but also destabilizing Europe and sending a signal that somehow, after the first territorial incursions since World War II, that the countries of the free world are not going to stand together strongly against what Russia is doing. I believe what we saw in our CODEL, what we heard this morning, was a very strong message, a message of unity. We need to be sure that our actions back up our words. Senator Wicker.
Thank you, Senator Portman. And I think if we all try to limit our remarks, it'll give us a chance to be heard. I want to echo what Senator Portman said and what Senator Risch said. This group is, we're partisan Republicans, but the delegation that we sent on the 48-hour trip to Kiev this weekend was bipartisan. 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, and our message was the strong message that Senator Risch just spoke to the rest of the world. We are united in our opposition to what Vladimir Putin and Russia are about to do, and we want to stand strong in a united way as a country. I think that was the message coming out of the classified meeting we had with the President, and I hope that comes to fruition. Let me say this about Vladimir Putin. The Russian people are led by someone who is nostalgic about the Tsarist period of Russia. President Reagan correctly called the USSR an evil empire. Vladimir Putin is nostalgic for a return to the evil empire, and that is why he's done what he's done. And yes, he poisons political opponents. He assassinates former members of the administration who oppose him publicly. He has invaded Georgia. He has invaded Ukraine. And as of yet, no one has given Vladimir Putin a bloody nose for any of this. I think the alliance, our friends in NATO, and a bipartisan majority are prepared to assist Ukraine in making sure that if it happens this time, Vladimir Putin will get a bloody nose. This is 40 million people who remember how it used to be not to be free and to be under the thumb of Soviet Russia. They will fight And it gladdened my heart, as Senator Portman said, to see that cargo plane from the United Kingdom offloading anti-tank weapons. We need to be an integral part of doing more than has already been announced. And we need to make sure that if Vladimir Putin takes this step and makes this mistake for his countrymen and this mistake against his neighbors, that it will be a mistake that he will long regret and long remember.
Senator Kramer.
Well, thank you. And in the spirit of unity, let me agree with all of my colleagues to this point and just reiterate how strong the commitment is. And while we certainly have some honest policy disagreements, particularly with regard to the sanctions, the Nord Stream 2 sanctions and the sequence, that should not be mistaken by Vladimir Putin or Russia as disunity in our resolve to stand with the people of Ukraine and to stand with freedom. The trip was fast but intense. This morning's briefing with the president was informative and I think constructive. And I think at this point, the message is loud and clear. The United States stands as one in unity with the freedom-loving people of Ukraine and never wants a return to